Thank you, everyone, and for having me here today. While we wait, okay, now we have the slides on stage. Okay, so I would like to start my talk by asking you all a question. What is, in your opinion, the most practiced sport in Italy? Any guesses? Volleyball? Football? Hands up for football? Oh, everybody thinks it's football. Well, it's actually complaining, you know? Think about that. Complaining is a very, very deeply rooted practice in our society. We complain about traffic, we complain about weather, we complain about our government, we complain about our relatives sometimes, we complain just about anything. Sometimes when we are asked how we are, we even say, I cannot complain. That is to say, you know, I really would like to complain, but life is not giving me enough reasons to complain. That is, you know, I'm complaining about the fact that I cannot complain. What we do not realize is that complaining has a number of drawbacks. First of all, it makes us focus on symptoms and not on causes. So it doesn't give us any indication of how to solve problems. The second drawback is that it makes us focus only on the negative aspects of situations. And we know that even the darkest cloud has a silver lining. And the third and final drawback is that it doesn't generate any proactive behavior, meaning it gives us the illusion that the causes of our problems is always outside of ourselves. It's always outside of our sphere of influence. And this preserves the status quo. This doesn't lead to any change. Okay, but what does all this mean in practice? Okay, let me give you a very simple and concrete example, okay? Let's say I am at the bus stop and I'm waiting for the bus. And I've been waiting, let's say, for 5, 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, okay? And the bus is not arriving. What would most of us do? I would probably start moaning about how public transportation is managed in my city, complaining about the traffic, complaining about the fact that employees maybe are not doing their job. What if, instead of complaining, I'd ask myself, okay, what could I do to avoid waiting for the bus? Maybe the following day, before going out of my office, I could just check the estimated arrival time on the internet before going out and arrive at the bus stop just a few minutes before the bus arrives. Or, if I arrive at the bus stop and the bus passes in front of me and I know that I will have to wait for a long time, I could just say, okay, maybe I could just walk for a couple of stops and, you know, break my sedentary behavior that, you know, we all spend a lot of time sitting at our desks, okay? So you see, the minute in which you move away from complaining, you activate a number of positive energies that generate a lot of nice results. So, what I would like to do today is to tell you a story about 8 Italian students that had the chance to travel across Europe and to see how things were working outside of their country. And instead of falling into the trap of complaining about the many things that did not work in their country, they decided to set out for a very ambitious adventure, changing their countries and trying to bring it closer to the state of the art present in Europe. So in 2007, these 8 students started what at that time was known as Progetto Rena, now only known as Rena. And their recipe for change was simple and revolutionary at the same time. And it was composed of only 4 ingredients. First of all, they managed to single out 4 values that they wanted to use as a guiding light in their action. And they were openness, transparency, equilibrium, and responsibility. They turned those values into a method, a modus operandi with which they crafted all their projects and their way of work. And they adopted a community approach, an approach based on collaboration and on mutual help. And finally, the 4th ingredient of their recipe was a significant amount of resolve to actually shape the reality around them, to change the reality around them. Today, Rena is an association with 130 active members, and I am one of them, and thousands of supporters all across our country. And Rena, and we are, as part of Rena, we are active in promoting talent and creativity by inspiring thousands of students with our Informiamoci project. We are active in the promotion of the quality of democracy by running our summer school on good governance that now has reached its 3rd edition. And it's also active in promoting local development. We helped a municipality that was struck by the earthquake to organize an international contest to redesign their territory. And finally, the last project, and the one that I'm going to focus on in my talk, is the Pionieri project. Last year, we launched an open call for modern pioneers in Italy, meaning organizations that are innovating, collaborating at the same time. And it was during this project that we met many interesting organizations, movements, people working together to shape a new course for our country. And in doing this, we realized that all the organizations, all the movements we met had some common traits. The first one, they were communities and not individual. The second, they focused on impact and not only on expressing their views of the world. They wanted to change the world around themselves. And the third one, that they were fueled by an entrepreneurial spirit and not an institutional spirit. Okay? Let me give you just a couple of examples. One of them is WW Workers, a community of people that left their full-time job and used ICT, internet technologies, to turn their passions and their creativity into full-time jobs, professional activities. And they are also promoting internet technologies as a lever for socioeconomic development. Another interesting community we met is the Addio Pizzo. It's a movement of small businesses that decided not to pay pizza to mafia, and they managed to turn this very brave choice into a source of competitive advantage in attracting tourists by assuring them that not even 1 penny of the money they spend will end up in mafia pockets. So by meeting all these interesting realities, Rena realized that a slight shift in its focus was needed. And now Rena is aiming not only at bringing together individuals, but at bringing together all these communities of change so that you can scale up and increase its impact on our country. Okay, but let's now move from Rena and pioneers to us. What does all this mean for us? What is the lesson we can bring home? What can we do? So should we just, sit in the passenger seat and enjoy the cruise while all these pioneers change the country for us? Actually, I believe that regardless of how motivated all these pioneers are, if we leave them alone, there will not be enough to turn our country around. What we need to turn each and every Italian into a pioneer. And for doing this, we need your help to get rid of a number of misconceptions. First misconception is, there's nothing I can do. The impact of your action is much greater than what you think. There has been a study conducted by a Harvard professor called Christakis that showed that each emotion, each word, and each action ripples across societies by 3 degrees of separation. That means what I'm saying to you today is not only going to reach your friends, but it's going to reach the friends of your friends. So our actions and our words have a much greater impact than what we think. The second is, well, I have a family to look after. And the fact that we have a family to look after should not prevent us from looking what is happening outside our small garden. We should be aware that our responsibilities go far beyond our families, and our families are not an excuse to bend the ethical rules of community living. And the third and last misconception is to get rid of our belief that we, as Italians, we will never change. 2,000 years of Eastern philosophy teaches us that we live in a constant flow of change. We just don't realize. In this very minute, your hair is growing, your nails are growing, the person who is going to walk out that door is going to be a different person from the person that walked into this room half an hour ago. So change is not a choice. What we can decide is in which direction we are going to stir our change. So I encourage you to choose your values, choose your communities, and choose your impact, because your contribution matters for yours and for our future. Thank you.